right, so we're gonna give you an actual on-ground tour of how our rotational grazing system works. So this area still has a surprise coming. Put your comments down below on what you think the surprise is. The other thing is, if you're interested, we have shirts available. They have this logo, and then we have another logo of ours, and then on the back it's we grow more than the American spirit. The link is down below in the description if you're interested. Go check them out. They're all made in the USA. We won't put our logo on anything that's not. There's also some window decals and stuff too. So other than this paddock right here, our goal is that when the sheep leave, when they come back, the grass is grown to a point where it's at least 6 inches tall. They can go through it, they can eat on it for a few days, up to 5 days, and then they'll rotate to the next paddock. So this right here that we're standing in, this is the barnyard paddock, and then this one right here would be the next one they go to after the barnyard. That is known as lambing paddock 1. So we have 2 lambing paddocks. We'll get to the other one here in a little while. They'll only stay in the barnyard for a maximum of 1 day, which is this one right here, and then they'd stay in the lambing paddock for up to 2 days.
When they're in the barnyard, they get a little extra treat.
Yeah, in the barnyard they're going to get grain for that day that they're in here, and then we'll run them through the chute if we need to check them out. For the most part, shouldn't really be needed, but if we have any suspicions that something's going on with them, that's what we'll do. So Chrissy's actually closing that gate up. We'll show you how all the gates are. They're all wire tied on one end to act as hinges, and then on this end they're all D-rings. I'll show you why they're like that when we get to the when we get down there to the corners. That'll explain better. But anyways, we have our paddock water for, well, the barnyard we could water for the barnyard, lambing paddock 1, and for paddock 1, all right here if we wanted. The barnyard we can actually water up at the barn as well. We moved the chicken coop out here because Chrissy doesn't like the chickens on the porch. They do poop everywhere. So she has a valid point there.
So far they've been off the porch a lot more since we've had them out here.
Yeah. And then we got a couple that have decided to live in the barn, but it'll be all right. So anyways, same thing out here. Want to make sure that the growth is coming back good, which this is all well over 6 inches tall. Actually, some of it's starting to seed out, which is okay. The fescue, we want it to seed out. Same thing for the Timothy and the red top. Yep. Yep, Chris has got a good point there. Most of the feces is already broken down, so all the fresh dirt they made, it's already broken back down and went back kind of into the soil, which I'm sure the 6 inches of rain we got the other day helped. Oh man, is that another hole? We need to fill it in. That's not a fence post hole, that's just, yeah. So the previous owners used to come in, not where that gate is now. There used to be a makeshift gate that they had in the fence up there. Well, anyways, they drove all the way through here, and they drive down here, and then they drive around up there. So this area here is lower because it's been driven on, but it's also got a lot of ruts, and we gotta get some dirt, fill it all in to kind of help with the water pooling. On the other spots, you've probably seen from the drone images we've had, where there's a whole bunch of there's terraces. The terraces used to be a big thing that the USDA would pay for you to put into your farm. And before fescue came around, fescue's a cool season grass, but it'll still grow in the summer, just not as well. Before that, they didn't have a grass that would grow in the cool seasons and the hot seasons. So basically you'd plant something for your cool seasons and you plant something again for your summer seasons. Well, that costs a lot of money whenever you're buying all this seed for, depending on how many acres you got. So we stopped, or not we, but farmers would stop doing that. They just plant something in the cool seasons, and then in the summertime it'd just be weeds, and in the winter or in the fall the cool season grass would come back. So fescue really helped out a lot with that. But the thing is that if they didn't plant something in the summer months when that grass was dormant, it would create a lot of erosion. So those terraces helped to prevent that. So this is where Oh, we opened that gate, honey.
Yep.
So this is what I was talking about. So these are all tied right here on the outside post. So this post is tied, obviously. That post right there. This post is tied, and that far post. And it's like that. You're going to see why here in a second. So for whatever reason, we wanted to go from from paddock 1, which is this one, to paddock 3. We could. Leave it right there, Chrissy. So we basically opened this one at a 45, and then we'd open this one right here as a 45. The sheep wouldn't have a choice. They'd have to come through this little alley that this creates, and then they'd end up going to to paddock 3. Not that it's going to happen often, but in the event that it does, so like this paddock is our most likely to have predators. There is a lot of coyote activity that happens back there. We hear it a lot. We don't see them very often, but again, George does a good job at that.
So high lambing time, this is off limits.
Yeah, so a lot of times if we have young lambs, we actually will skip this paddock. So that's why we did it like that. And then if for whatever reason we wanted to go from this paddock to lambing paddock 2, we could easily do that and force them all up there. So if we needed to go back to the barnyard to run all of these guys through the corral for something, it's easy for us to push them in the direction that we want them to go. And then it's also easy to guide them with a bucket as well. But we can leave that open because I got to go down there with the tractor still and scoop all that residue. So the gates are a lot easier than the ones that are built into the fence. So a lot of times they have something where like they'll have that wood post and they just have the fence overlap towards it, and they'll cut it and they'll have like a wire or something like that to close it back up with. It takes time to untwist all the wire and stuff. Those panels, they work pretty good. They're not hard to open or close, but they are more effortful than the ones that hang on a post.
They're harder for a kid. An adult will have no problem with them.
Yeah. We are going to transition to normal gates eventually, but I'm not willing to spend $150 to $200 on every gate because we'll need a total of, I think it's 17 gates. So that adds up real quick. I'd rather spend money on other things that are going to make my life a lot easier and make our farm more productive. But same thing, this paddock, everything looks pretty good. All the feces is breaking down. It's still
This is still
not bad.
New within the past week and a half.
Yeah, I don't remember when. It wasn't, let's see.
5 days.
Stayed in that one for 4 days.
4 days there.
It's been about 2 weeks.
Sweet.
Close to it. So like Chrissy was saying, it's been less time since they've left this one. So this will break down though before they ever come back. We won't have to worry too much about it.
They'll have like what, another 2.5 weeks before they'll make it back here?
Oh, they've got more than that.
3?
They've got 5, 10, 15.
Oh yeah, I forgot we broke those down smaller.
22, 23, 24, 25, 20, or 30, 35. Ooh, there's a hole there. Yeah.
That's a rut.
So a little over a month before they come back here. Yeah, the grass is coming on strong now that the weather warmed up. It's actually just a slight, it's not really cold out. It's just windy today.
There's no sun, it's overcast.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a chill in the air. We took the hanging gate that was right here because it was only 8 feet wide. And so it was really a pain in the butt to fit the tractor through here. So we went ahead and took that out, widened it up, and then we'll put a panel up here. I've actually got a panel up there, just gotta grab it. But we'll do that because in the summer months, it'll get to a point where the paddocks, they get mowed with the brush hog because there'll be so much vegetation that the sheep aren't going to eat it all in the 5 days that they're there. The paddocks are too big for the amount we have, but we're going to get up to 350 head of breeding stock. So we went ahead and just planned ahead and made them that large right off the bat so we didn't have to redo it again. Fencing isn't hard, it's just time consuming.
Especially if you have to readjust it every couple years.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to keep moving paddocks. When we first started off, Chrissy had to move. We had a portable
paddocks, yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. We made temporary paddocks with this plastic net fencing that we had. It worked okay, but it was a real pain to move.
It was.
And Chrissy moved it a lot of times on her own. So basically we'd take it down and then roll it up.
Sometimes in the pouring rain.
So that was paddock 4. Now we're in paddock 5. And we'll show you some, actually we can walk over there real quick. on the way over there real quick, ponds. I don't like having them in the paddocks, mainly because sheep are not very smart. And we've already had one lamb that drowned in there. And I don't know if they were just horsing around near the edge and then they bounced in because they jump and play a lot. I don't know if they bounced in and then they couldn't figure out how to get out and they ended up drowning that way or what. But either way, it's a loss that isn't worth it. So that's why we have water at every paddock, because for instance, when this pond, something happens and it starts draining, we're actually just gonna fill the pond in. So I don't have a good comparison for you. Well, in previous videos, if you go back and watch when we're putting fencing up, you'll see how thick this undergrowth was. I mean, it was brushy, and I mean, you couldn't see through here. It was thick. Well, anyways, the sheep come in here and they actually eat the leaves. I don't know what these wooded brush, I don't know what they are, but they come through here and they eat the leaves off of most of them. That one they didn't, but most of them, they pick all the leaves off. I mean, that's a thorn bush, and they picked a lot of the leaves off of it, which is good for them, because I'm sure that's not good on the, that probably don't feel good on the gum.
You should be able to see on the fencing post.
Yeah.
A good view of what this looks like.
Oh yeah. But anyways, it was real thick. So making them eat this stuff is a way to get all this stuff gone, and then we'll come in here and we'll disc this over or plow it, or not plow, sorry, disc it or till it. We don't want to use a plow. A plow in Missouri just pulls up a bunch of rocks, which we already have plenty of them. We don't need to find any more. But yeah, so this is kind of what I was talking about, where it cleans up all this, and then we'll come through here. We use a chainsaw. Actually, that I can use the big Batwing for and knock those trees down, because they're all less than 3 inches in diameter. Knock all them down, kill them, open this up more.
They like to eat the pine trees too.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they had pine trees or the cedar trees. You know, I'm not sure what it is. Ouch. But so that's kind of what's going to have to happen with this area. We'll leave a lot of the trees though, because them having some shelter out here, especially like in the summertime when it's sunny out, most of our paddocks have very little trees, if any, in them. And I really do feel sorry for these guys, because they get hot. They're sitting out there panting, even without, you know, most of them have already shed their fur at that point, and they're, you know, they'll look like the dog, for instance. They'll have just real short hair, and they get hot though. Feel bad for them. It's never done. There's always something to do. We already cleaned the fence out mostly. The water, I meant to take a picture whenever we was showing that, but a couple weeks back when we talked about this, the water was all the way up to here. And I mean, that's a long ways. Sorry. But, and it went up. So total depth was probably somewhere, I don't know, about 4 feet or so in the middle right there. The one down there was probably closer to 6 feet deep, because it had really tall walls on each side, but that water got up high. Freedom, get over here.
Get back here. That one will hurt you.
You're gonna get beat up.
We'll find out.
There's so much water to actually let this post come back out of the ground. I'll have to do something about it. You know what we'll do? I'll grab one of them tall ones. One of those tall T-posts we have. We'll ram it in there. Everybody's looking pretty good. They've still got a lot to eat, as you can see. And they've already been in there for 4 days.
Yeah. We rotate them tomorrow.
Yeah. So they've already been in there for 4 days, and they still have plenty to eat, which is good. Again, I'd rather go through there and brush hog some stuff down here and there, and them have plenty to eat, because if they keep what they're eating up high, they're far less likely to pick up any parasites. So, just a benefit to it. Stop chasing them around, Freedom.
She's not trying to. She's trying to get away from him. She don't know where to go.
Whenever they stomp like that, so you can see Chugger stomping at her, that's their warning saying, hey, get away. But in reality, they're probably not going to do much to her. The ram obviously would do something, but these guys aren't as aggressive. That dog is tiny. She just fit through that 6x6 hole.
I think that one's a little bigger than 6x6.
No, it's not. Actually, it's smaller than 6x6 because this is a 4-inch run, so it's 4-inch by 6-inch. Here.
I just wanted to see Mama Sheep.
I guess so. The sheep actually like Phoenix, the smaller dog. They really like her. They think she's, I guess, probably a lamb. I don't know.
Well, she don't get up in their face either.
And then they like to run around with the toupees that they find laying around on the ground.
Well, that's why they don't like her. Then they're threatening them with their toupees.
Yeah. So this is actually how these guys were, but they had been running. They would have charged up here and demanded to get out before, when we had the paddock set up and we had to leave them on there for a longer period of time. So this works out much better. They would have been there trying to push through the gate. We're gonna go check on our hayfield real quick. It was sprinkling there for a little bit. Actually, it might still be sprinkling. We're gonna check on the hayfield growth, see where it's at. Oops. This gate's a little harder to get open because I stretch it real tight because I don't want predators to be able to push, because you can see this is flexible. Oh, that pollen. Bye, Phoenix.
She's a sheepdog.
Yeah, she is.
Still think she's Houdini. Watch her squeeze through all the little panels.
I didn't say she'd get through that panel. That's a cattle panel. It's got 6x6. So you can look at here. You can kind of see where Chrissy's walking through. Her boots are probably around 14-ish, maybe 16 inches tall. So a lot of spots right here where we're driving it out a lot. We kind of killed this coming in and out so much earlier in the spring, but most of it's actually pretty tall, especially when you get out away from the area we compacted. This area right here is definitely low though. The previous owners haven't fertilized this. We haven't. This is the first year we've owned it in the spring.
The ones before then probably didn't either.
Yeah, I know the ones before didn't. So it's definitely due for some fertilizer. We're gonna fertilize it next year. This year was a burning year to try to keep down a lot of the junk that was growing. But up on the hill, it's actually looking much better than it is down here. All pretty good stuff overall. The pond is a lot cleaner. There's a turtle sticking up. It's a big one. The pond does look a lot cleaner. I don't know if it's from the algae eating stuff or from the monsoon of rain we got. Kind of hard to say. Oh, it's a lot cleaner. I still got a lot in there, but it's still much better. Yeah, but even that's still not as thick. We had a big algae issue. I mean, you could barely cast anywhere in here without it going into algae. Now it's quite a bit better. Still a lot. There's still a lot right there and around that side, and a little bit more right here, but much better than what it was. We need to throw some different kinds of fish in there. Oh, a bunch of fish right there. Probably. I don't know. We should. What kind of fish could we put in here to help get this under control so it's not. We don't want to put chemicals in it. The algae eater stuff we put in there was an all natural one that seems to be doing pretty good.
But it rained a lot afterwards, so I don't know how much of it got pushed out.
Yeah, I don't know how much is left. It did rain a lot. The pond's a lot bigger. Look how full it is. So the pond actually usually stops right about there, but you can actually see. So basically this would go straight across. But we got a lot of rain recently. All this grass down here is good and thick though. So most of this is all good and thick. And I know some people are gonna mention that there's still weeds in here. Yes, there is. We're actually not too worried about it though. The sheep, believe it or not, we had really nice horse quality hay that we cut last year on the halves off of somebody else's property. The sheep, they'd pick through it and eat it, don't get me wrong. But they didn't like that nearly as much as some other stuff that we cut on another piece of property that we cut on the halves for custom hay. They loved that stuff. They ate all of it. They didn't leave any of it behind.
And it was a higher weed.
Yeah, it had a lot of weeds in it. It was, still had grass in it too, don't get me wrong, but it was probably about a 50-50 mix of grass and weeds. But at that point we were like, ah, that's right, if we don't need it, we'll sell it. And then we ended up not selling it. We sold the horse quality hay because we got a lot more money for it. And we're like, ah, we'll just feed more grain if we need to. And they absolutely loved that stuff. So worked out pretty good. It's weird how sheep are. And then the other thing that's kind of strange about sheep in general, they actually eat weeds, which is a good thing to keep your pasture clean. But the other thing is weeds have a higher protein content than grass. Kind of a odd thing, thinking that, well, weeds are healthier for them. Yeah, weeds are kind of healthier for them in that aspect. They're more nutritious. The problem is that like cattle, for instance, they won't eat weeds unless they absolutely have to. Like you have to basically like rotational grazing, but you have to make them eat everything down to the ground. Otherwise they'll eat the grass and they'll leave the weeds and they'll eat around them. Whereas our sheep do the opposite. They eat all the weeds and then they'll eat the grass.
Which is why it's beneficial for some people to rotate different types of animals in their pastures.
Yes. Last year actually we tested that theory out. The same neighbor we bought this pasture, or this hay field, and that other, so there's 47 acres here. They have cattle, or had cattle. They sold them, but we actually borrowed theirs and had them go in front of our sheep, and then we had our sheep go behind them. It worked very well, but we don't know if we want to really deal with multiple species at the moment. It does work very well, but we're just not to the point right now where we want to deal with it. This area right here grows phenomenal. I'm not sure why, but this right here is just always thick and luscious. Where the nutrients come from, we're not 100% sure, but we're not gonna complain about it either. I actually walked down here because I need to check this, where this water comes through at. I want to make sure. We didn't check it the other day after we got done checking all the other fences. We don't usually keep animals in our hayfield. The purpose of having a hayfield obviously is to basically harvest hay off of it throughout the year, throughout the spring and summer and fall, so that in the winter time you have plenty to feed your animals. So if your animals are on here eating it, it kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. What do you all do for hay? Do you cut your own? Do you not feed hay? Do you just feed grain and let them eat whatever grass is growing? I mean, a lot of you are in different climates than we are, so not everybody has a real winter where the grass is dormant. Oh, this is doing good. A lot of gravel. A bunch of tadpoles over here too. We have tadpoles everywhere. So basically, where we get all our water from, all the rain that falls on our neighbors over here goes through their pond, comes out of their pond, whatever overflows from it, down this stream, comes through here, and then goes all the way down that way. Who? Oh, Natalie. Oh. Hi, Natalie. Anyways, it flows into this big pond. Whatever overflows out of this big pond then starts going through our streams, fills that little pond, or that middle pond, flows out of there, fills that small pond that leaks out, so it doesn't matter. All right, let's get back to the pasture review. All it is some tall stuff. Oh, they spotted us. You're not gonna talk to your sheeple?
No, I don't want to get their hopes up.
Oh.
I'll wait till tomorrow.
So then they come right through here. That's paddock 8. This is paddock 9. And then that's paddock 10 that we're getting ready to walk up to. And everything is designed to where they just rotate in a clockwise manner. Go all the way around the farm, all the way back up here, down there, and then they come right back up the loop. And then when they go to lambing paddock 2, right before they go into the barnyard again, that's it. That completes their rotations. And by the time they get all the way back to that, that's what it's going to be, is about 2 months. There's 10 5-acre paddocks, 11 if you included the 2 lambing paddocks in the barnyard together. So overall, pretty good stuff. They're sized anywhere from just under 5 acres to right at 5 acres. None of them are over 5 acres. Several of them are under 5 acres, but more than like 4.5. And then the lambing paddock 2 is about 2 acres and some change, probably closer to 2.5. Lambing, or the barnyard is an acre. Might be a little under an acre, like 3/4 of an acre. And then the lambing paddock 1 is right at 1 3/4 acre. So, but it works well, though. We really like it. Been using it now, so they're almost going to finish. So when they come to lambing paddock 2, that'll be the finishing touch. They'll have made 1 complete loop, and I don't really have any complaints. I don't think I'd change anything about it. Do you?
Not yet.
That's not good. Other than, like we said, upgrading the gates, actually having gates, that would be nice, but not a deal breaker. Yeah. Oh, we need to plant some trees, like at least 1 or 2. Give them a little bit of shade, because paddocks 9 and 10 have 0 trees for them to hang out under. Paddock 8 has some in the fence line that they can get under, since that's the south line, or that's the south. The trees that are on the south fence line of paddock 8 will still give them shade during the day. The other downside to trees are,
It takes forever to grow.
yeah, they do take a while to grow, but if you have a tree, so let's say we had a tree right here, they would all hang out right here except for when they're eating. So then you have most of your fresh dirt that they're making for you, most of it's right there under that tree and not spread evenly throughout the pasture. So that's a downfall, but our garden got completely flooded.
Phoenix, no.
And we're gonna have to replant it, like the whole thing. Actually, today is the first day the whole thing hasn't been underwater.
Ow.
All of it was underwater, so I'm highly doubting anything grows. Even the onions threw in the towel. I gotta finish up that compost pile.
Need the other piece for my compost.
You're leaking a lot of oil out of your compost pile here.
It's not from my compost, it's something in the ground.
It wasn't here before.
I ain't putting nothing in there.
Oh,
it's
you know
not
what?
Food.
Potatoes and stuff, they have oil.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's what it's from. It's a good question.
There's all.
What's that from? Is that, with it being compost, would it be from
There's no meat byproducts or
Yeah.
dairy products in there. Phoenix!
I
Ow!
mean, there's potatoes in there. Those are starchy. Corn starchy. Actually, there's no corn.
There's no corn in there.
Soy and soybean stuff. Oh, interesting. Well, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the tour. If you have questions, please post them down below. If you want a shirt, there's a link down below in the description. And last but not least, have a blessed week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.